This is episode number 48 at the BS Machine. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. So, today we are getting into a really epic episode. And on this episode today, whether you're watching me on YouTube at my YouTube channel, or you're listening to me on Spotify, or you are listening to me on the Apple Podcast app, whatever it is that is rocking your world, I welcome you to the BS Machine. On this episode, we are discussing motivation, but that's a very general word, isn't it? But we are really going to get into how to ignite courage and inspiration within ourselves. That is a fucking huge topic. And it is a huge topic because I know for a fact that if I suffer from it, if I struggle with it, then I know that there's a massive chunk of the world's population that is struggling with it. And so I already know that if you are listening to this podcast, it is something that you are interested in exploring. And just to start with, I just want to set this up in a way where you know that that I struggle with this stuff too, and that's why I believe I can really talk about this from a really magical place. So do you reckon that each week when I front up to this microphone, do you reckon I come and front up to this microphone and go, oh my God, I'm so excited to get into this podcast and record a podcast? Nah, just literally, I reckon 2 minutes ago, before I pushed record on this podcast, I was literally sitting there going, I just can't be fucked doing this podcast. The last thing I can be bothered doing right now is putting my mouth to this microphone and start talking about how to ignite courage and inspiration in the world. But then, you know what's cool? I know for a fact that I committed to myself. I committed something to myself that each and every fucking week I do a podcast and I release another episode. And the more I do this, the more things start to really open up for me and open up for this podcast. The more I do it, because I'm doing them every week, you know, I started getting emails on, you know, people wanting to sponsor the podcast. I'm sort of picking and choosing. I'm getting people emailing me saying, hey, I'd love to get this guest on. And I'm getting some really cool emails of some really epic guests as a potential to interview. So you'll be seeing some pretty powerful guests coming on in the future. But in terms of igniting motivation, not even motivation, but igniting courage and inspiration within ourselves, it is so fucking tough, isn't it? Because it's something, it's almost like as soon as we go to do something that we know is good for us and we know that we want to do, why is it that the first port of call is to go, ugh, I just can't be fucked? And the reason for that is because we have these certain things and these certain conditions and things that and certain roadblocks that need to sort of come up in our psyche so that we don't move forward and don't do the things that we want to do. But really the question is, how do you actually ignite this inspiration within you? How do you ignite this courage to fucking step in and actually do shit? And even before we go into that, what I find happens if we don't if we don't get into this courage and inspiration and allow ourselves to motivate ourselves to move forward, what happens is that we start doing stuff and start taking action on things that actually have zero relevance to how we actually want to live and zero relevance to how we actually want to be in our world and how we actually want to how we actually want to, you know, put ourselves forward into the world. And so we start putting our energy into things that actually keep us way more that make us lethargic, and it keeps us holding back. So and just know that any single time you are inspired to do something or go towards something and you don't do it, what you're doing is it's almost like you're proving to yourself that you being inspired and courageous to go for what you really want is actually useless. And I've mentioned this in another podcast before, which I keep reminding myself of, which is basically that it's just as hard to stay stuck and stagnant as it is to actually move forward. And let me say that again. It's just as hard being stuck and stagnant as it is to move forward. It takes the same amount of effort. So then, why would you not put the focus and the energy and your doing and your actioning into actually doing shit that inspires you and brings up courage within you? And then to take that even forward, you know what happens? If you start doing this for yourself, what you will find is you will find that you will start to ignite courage and inspiration in other people as well. Because when people see you doing shit that is fucking cool, they sit back and they go, well, fuck him or her. Like, how come she or he can do it, but I can't? And then they go home, and whether it takes a day, an hour, a fucking month, a year, whatever it takes, that will be in the back of their mind the whole time. And there'll be a point where they go, you know what? Fuck it. If they can do it, so will I. And that is the real clincher. This is not just about you guys. It's not just about you creating inspiration and courage and all that type of stuff within yourself and motivation on a more general term. It's about stepping in and helping, the rest of the planet, the rest of your community fucking come alive. Because that's what it's about. When you're feeling inspired, just like I am now, you feel fucking alive. Like even me right now, as I'm talking, I'm just I'm feeling the skin. I'm feeling like little goosebumps in places, in my shoulder, in my head. It's just like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm so excited to be sitting here and talking to you about this stuff because it fucking excites me. It really does. But imagine if today was one of those days where I went, I can't be fucked doing this podcast. I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. Today's a beautiful day outside. It's like 21 degrees here in Melbourne, Australia. There's not one cloud in the sky. I'm looking outside, and it's like, what is it? It's sort of like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It would have been so much easier for me just to go, nah, I'll do the podcast. I'll leave it this week and I'll do it another day. Right now, I'm going to go down to the beach, go have a dip in the ocean, hang out with some mates, and whatever the fuck else, right? And what would that have done? It wouldn't have really done anything for me other than I've just basically let the inevitable go further. And then to take that further, if I didn't release this podcast tomorrow, like I do every other Monday, it would have been fucked because I would have felt like shit. I really would have felt like shit going, man, why? How could I not do this? Like I've been doing it every single week for the last 6 months. And now today's suddenly that day where I don't do it. I would have felt like absolute shit. So I am so proud of myself for stepping up and having this knowing that once I take action, that action brings inspiration and brings courage into me. And so there's this real point to taking action and creating motivation, knowing that the only way that you're going to create motivation and inspiration and courage within yourself is by fucking stepping up and taking some sort of action. And when you say, well, I don't know what action to take, I think that is an absolute fucking load of shit. If you think you don't know what action to take, I'm here to tell you that you are being a fucking victim and you're not stepping into your full potential. So on full potential, that there is this energy that comes with, taking a step one after the next. And there's this really cool image that that I have in my mind, which I saw a while ago, which is basically when you stand at the foot of a mountain and you're looking up at the mountain and you're seeing the top and you know that you want to get to the top of the mountain and you're just fucking sitting there and you're going, oh man, this is going to be a climb. I'm going to go through some it's going to be a fucking journey climbing up this mountain, and I don't know what treks I'm going to take. I'm just sort of going to find my way as I go. But imagine if at that point you could click your fingers and you would be up at the top of the mountain. you would click your fingers, get up to the top of the mountain, or let's say if a helicopter landed and said, "Hey, Tommy," or fuck whatever, whoever, whatever, whatever your name is that's listening, it's like, "Hey, you know what? I'm a helicopter. Jump in. I'll take you up to the top, and you can see the views." If that happened, you would get up to the top of the mountain, and there'd be a sense of disappointment because you'd get up there and you'd be like, "Oh, well, that was just way too easy. Like any cock and balls could have just done that. It was just too easy. You know, I just got picked up in the helicopter, taken to the top, and it's done." You missed out on the whole fucking journey, you know. So, but then again, so at the bottom of the mountain, if you could magically click your fingers and get up to the top, you would I would say, no, do you know what? No, I'm not doing that. I want to go through the journey. So if you decided to take the journey and you went through all these cool little journeys and you found all these new tracks that you knew were leading somewhere that's exciting, there's somewhere that you haven't seen before, you would 100% make it to the top of the mountain, but you would look down and go, "Holy shit, look at that view." But what you would also see is there would be this sense of achievement and excitement that you saw the journey up. You would look down and go, "I can't believe that I had the courage and the inspiration to go into this journey and get all the way up to the top." And then the next thing that would happen is you'd be sitting on top of that mountain, really appreciating and finding gratitude for your journey. And you would look down, but also you would appreciate the view, but also you would put that into the memory bank. And the next thing that would happen is you would be like, "You know what? If I've done that, imagine what else I could do." And things start to magically become limitless. They do. And it's always the little small steps. And I'm going to keep using this vision or this imaginative thing of this journey up the mountain, because that once you get up to the top, you would see this next mountain that was twice as big, and you're like, "You know what? If I've done this, fuck, man, I want to go on another exciting journey and get up to the mountain twice as big, and that mountain won't look as big now, will it?" So there is something really special about you. There is something super special about you. Otherwise, you would not be alive. And when you say things like, "I can't be fucked," and when you say things like, "I can't be bothered," or when you say things like, "I don't know how to create motivation or inspiration within myself," excuse me, I'm about to burp. Okay, sorry. There's usually one burp within the podcast, I reckon. And I think it's because when I talk a lot, I know there's like air and whatever else that builds up within my chest, and I just sort of have to let it out. So excuse me. Hope you enjoyed that burp, and maybe you got a burp that you could do right now that might match that or even beat it. So yeah, when you get to when you're stepping into this place of adventure and going on a journey and creating inspiration, there is a real sense of like what's the word? It's epicness. There's a sense of epicness to be able to do that. And when you're not doing it, you're being a fucking victim, And so in order to really create this inspiration, this courage, and to move it forward, it has to come back to a starting point. And the starting point is where you are right now. That's the starting point. Whether you think that you are courageous or you know how to create inspiration, it's a never-ending journey. So you have to start exactly where you are right now. And the thing that I love about myself is that I know that regardless of where I've really achieved in life, and regardless of where I've really fucked up in life and been, I call it like a victim-y or whatever, but regardless of whether you've done in areas in your life, whether you've done really good stuff or you've done shit where you've just held back and felt stuck and stagnant, it's actually irrelevant, because where you are right now is such a perfect place to start. And there is no better place to start. So you don't need anything else in your life in order to get started. The only thing you need is your breath, the fact that you're living and you're alive, and and some sort of thing that you know that you would like to do, or you would like to express to the world, or some form of vision, or whatever. And it doesn't have to be like a world changing thing like I'm gonna write a book. It doesn't have to be that. It can be as simple as I want to start meditation. I want to start yoga. It could be as simple as I want to start journaling every day. It could be as simple as I need to do the dishes. I need to clean my house and get rid of all the clutter and move on and really get shit done. So it doesn't matter where you are. There is nothing else you need to get started. There is absolutely nothing else you need to get started. And whether you think you are already successful, or whether you believe that other people are more successful than you, or whether you believe that, you know, you've just started a family and it's just not the right time, or whatever the fuck. Like, we all have these stories. But just imagine for a second, actually, let me add one more in, which is basically what I hear a lot of people using, you know, and I've heard this quite a lot through my clients and whatever, is that I'm gonna wait till lockdown's done. Fuck that, man. Like, what a fucking joke. Like, if you're gonna wait until lockdowns are done, then you're gonna get to the end of lockdown, whenever the fuck that is, and whenever this whole pandemic thing is over, which it will be over one day, whatever, one way or another, is then you'll get there and you'll be like, oh, well, you know, I'll just wait until I get myself back together financially, or I'll wait till the kids are a little bit older, or I'll wait till my wife or my husband isn't being such a prick and they allow me to move forward. Nah, fuck that, man. This is the moment. Where you are right now, the only place that you can ignite courage and inspiration within is right the fuck now. It's fucking now, and there is things that you might realize if you're asking yourself, well, what should I take action towards? It's things that are fucking scary, things that push the boundaries, things that ask you to grow, and when you can take action and execute action towards the things that scare you, you could start at the bottom of the barrel, which is basically, that sounds negative. It's not the bottom of the barrel, but you could start with really simple things, with things that it's like maybe you think you've wanted to try shit, and you're like, you know what, I should but shouldn't. Maybe just the small things. Maybe it's fucking doing the buying new bed sheets. I don't know what the fuck, new towels, whatever it is. Just things you can start it with little things, but what you will find is as soon as you start taking some form of progress forward and you're executing some form of action, inspired action, not bullshit action, inspired action. And inspired action basically means something that is asking you to grow, and something that fucking challenges you, and something that is asking you to do shit that you're not super duper comfortable with. That is inspired action. And so what you'll find is, as soon as you start doing that, just do little things, tiny little things if you're just getting started, and then move on, and you'll get shown what's next. You literally will get shown what's next. So on that, in terms of moving forward, in terms of what's next, in terms of, you know, let's get this shit done. This is the thing, guys. It should be fucking easy. You know, the only thing that's hard is dealing with your fucked up stories. That's the only thing that makes things a little bit difficult. But the actual action part is easy. Just like I said to you before, I couldn't be fucked doing this podcast. It is. I was sitting there for half hour, pushing it off, putting it off. I made a coffee, then made a tea. Then I thought, oh, you know what? I need to eat something. So I ate, probably why I burped. And then I came to sit down. I put my fucking headphones on, turned the microphone on, and I'm like, oh, I need some water. So I went and got my water bottle and then sat here and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I need to write down what I'm going to talk. No, fuck, man. Just turn the fucking mic on, push record, and let's fucking go. And here I am, 20 minutes later, talking about inspiration and courage and how to do that. And just by me doing that, I'm feeling epic in myself. And I know already it's going to be such a great day because I'm going to be shown for the rest of the day and the rest of the week in terms of what it is that I need to move forward. What are the obvious next steps that I need to take in order to move forward? So for you, what are the obvious next steps? Like, even if you pick little themes in your life where it's like, you know what, let's say love and relationships. What is it that is scaring you? Like, what's some inspired action you could take towards your love and your relationships, whether it's with a loved one, a partner, whether it's friendships? Is it maybe having an awkward conversation? Is it maybe just buying a gift for your loved one just because you fucking love and appreciate them, not because you're trying to get out of some fucked up mistake you made? It's to create excitement. It's to create adventure. It's to create fucking love and connection within your partnership, within your relationship. Is it is it with health? Like, that's another theme, health. What's some inspired action you can take towards that? What about creativity? What is some inspired action you could take towards your creativity? Like, fuck, man, this is one of the areas that really fucking pisses me off. Not about you, but about myself. I am such a creative genius. When I tune into my creativity, it is unbelievable what comes at me. And as soon as it does, my instant reaction is, this is too big. I can't do this. I'm not capable of doing this straight away. My creativity gives me so many epic things and so many epic ideas. I write them down. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, I can't fucking do this. And you know what I do? I take just gentle little actions towards them. And before I know it, they're starting to evolve and open up. So creativity is a huge one. And just know, mark my words, that as soon as you step into your creativity and start to take inspired action towards that, your life will start to unfold in magical ways. What's another? So we've got, love, relationships, creativity. We've got health. Dude, fuck, you know what to do. You know what to fucking do. Take small steps and watch it unfold. You know what to do, whether it's health. I'm not going to talk much about that. Even family, like family, you want to have an epic environment within your family space. Man, like, how cool would it be? When's the last time that you called your grandma, your dad, or your mum, or whoever the fuck, and said, fuck, like, I'm so grateful for you bringing me up, and dad, I'm so grateful that I've had you my whole entire life, and I fucking love you, and I just wish that I told you more of it, and thank you for being alive, because you are such a wisdom provider, and I know that you've been this or that or whatever, but I just want to say thank you for bringing me into this world. Things like that, it's so powerful. And maybe you have different ideas around family. Maybe you can organize a Zoom catch up with all your family all around the world, and let that create this cool little adventure where you get on Zoom and you're talking to each other. There might be 5 or 10 of you on there, and it's like, fuck, that's a good idea. You know what? I'm actually going to do that with my family, because my family's like in Hungary, in the US, here in Australia, but most of my family's either in Hungary or the US. So that's actually a really good idea. Thanks, Tommy. I'm actually going to do that. Cool. See, that's cool. I'm going to organize a little Zoom chat with the Kendi Familia. I'm really looking forward to it. And then, okay, what else have we got? We've got stuff like, I don't know, yourself, the way that you are in yourself. Like, these are all different themes that we all could have. Like, man, there's so many things, and this is how you ignite inspiration. It's like igniting a flame. Get your lighter, and the way that you light it is to to become an action an advocate for fucking action. Hey, how's that? Become an advocate for inspired action. Get that done. So if you are listening to this podcast, I've given you 25 minutes of absolute fucking gold, and I know that there's certain things that you've listened to in this podcast that have sort of bounce some things around your head, and literally all you have to do, you've got two options now, right? I've given you quite a bit of epic information, and I'm not saying it's groundbreaking because this is shit that you already know. I'm just here to be a reminder for you. So look, so right now you really have two options, guys. One option is that you push stop on this podcast whenever it finishes, and then you just go on about your day, and you're like, oh, that was good. And they're like, yeah, Tommy was so cool, and he gave us some stuff. And so that's a really good option, I guess, if you just want to stay stuck and stagnant. However, you would have had some epic ideas as you were listening to this podcast. Even as I was talking, you would have been sitting in your car or wherever you're listening to this, and you would have gone, fuck, you know what, he's right. Like, maybe I can do this and I can do that. And so what my advice to you would be right now is that as soon as this podcast finishes, either write down or take an action towards something right fucking now. Right fucking now. Even if you have to stop the podcast now and go, all right, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to take an action. I'm going to make that phone call. I'm going to book this in. I'm going to do whatever the fuck. I'm going to get my paper and pen out and just do some writing. Then please go do it. Please. Like right now, go and do it. If you're still listening to the podcast, then great, because I've still got a little bit more to yap on about. But either way, when you push pause, or not push pause, but when you finish this podcast, please trust yourself in taking inspired action and moving forward, because it is such a gift. And it is, remember that mountain. You would be so disappointed if the helicopter grabbed you and put you up the top of the mountain, because that'd be fucking boring. It's like, but it's like, I'll use another example with me now. Like right now, I'm building this whole new and exciting thing. And initially, I got this idea, and I was like, fuck, how cool. That's going to make me so much fucking money. And then I was sitting there going, do you know what? The money actually doesn't, it's not the thing that motivates me. And when I talk about money, for me, the money part is, it's like I say it because I feel like that's what I need to say. But ultimately, if I look behind it all with this project that I'm currently working on, it's like, yeah, of course, it's a fucking epic idea. I'm going to release it and do all this cool stuff with it. But whether it makes $100 or $100,000, like, it's actually irrelevant to me, because it's my soul. It's my fucking truth, and I'm so excited about sharing it. And there's no better time than right now to share this type of information. And so I'm excited. So it's got nothing to do with the money. It's got to do with me taking action. And even with that project, when I started filming for it and whatnot, before I even pushed the first record button on the yoga mat and doing some other stuff around it, I didn't want to fucking do it. I was actually fucking upset going to the studio to start doing these recordings. I was upset because in my fucked up victim, I'm like, it was like I was being like kicking and screaming, being pulled to do this epic idea. And then I just reminded myself, I'm like, Tom, the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, this is just, all you're doing is taking small little steps towards your inspired action. So, guys, I think that you know that there is something really special that lives within you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here on this fucking earth at this time of being alive, especially now, the craziness that is happening in the world. Please try and stop having the conversations around, oh my God, how many cases were today? Oh, do you know if lockdowns, and this is what's going to happen with lockdown and the vaccine and this and that. Just stop having those conversations, please. unless you have a kick-ass idea of how to fuck this pandemic off. Then talk about it all you want. But stop having these dumbass conversations that you have no control over. Just please tune in to what it is you're really here to do. Take action on things that give you epic inspiration and excitement and fucking adventure, and just take small little steps towards it. You've got something really special within you. I'm going to repeat it again. You've got something really special within you, and it's your fucking job. No one's going to do it for you to bring this out to the world or to your family or to your relationship or to the world. And ultimately what that's going to create is within you, you will start to feel like you are a worthy, epic human being that has a real and true purpose on this earth. I fucking love you. Well done. And I actually just want to jump through this microphone and give your fucking face a massive hug and a kiss, and just hug you all over, because I can feel that if you're still listening to this podcast, that you are such an epic human. And if I could jump through this microphone, I would.